Well, they basically started as part of a weekly screen magazine, which was distributed to Army and Navy bases worldwide in World War II on 16mm film. It was called the Army-Navy Screen Magazine.
I gotta get a move on now. I sail at 4:30.
They really were to teach little lessons to the soldiers, like loose lips sink ships, and read your field manuals before you go out. And it was done in a little illustrative way, which usually has Snafu getting blown to bits.
Before I ever saw any of the cartoons, my dad, who was in World War II, he explained the acronym to me.
Snafu. Situation normal.
All up.
All fouled up.
Yeah, fouled. That's the word.
The idea to make cartoons based on this Private Snafu, who is basically your world's worst soldier, was something that came from the military.
The Army set up the first motion picture unit, which was out of Hollywood. Frank Capra headed it.
Stick him up or I'll blow your brains out.
They used the best in the business. These were top-flight professional Hollywood productions.
When I get at them Nazis, I ain't gonna clunk them over the head with no books. What you gotta give them dopes is a belly full of lead.
The character Snafu was actually thought up originally by Frank Capra. Capra knew Walt Disney very well. That was his first choice to do the series. So Capra approached Walt Disney, but then when Roy Disney submitted his budget, it was too high. So that's basically why Schlesinger wound up doing the animation instead of Disney.
I worked on Private Snafu, and they were training films for the armed forces, and they were supposed to be very secret. All of us had to be fingerprinted, and we had to wear badges every day that showed that we were able to work on the snafus.
Gold brick, I'm a gold brick, I'm a gold brick.
They only gave us 10 cells at one time because they did not want us to know what was going on in the picture. If they had given us 300, we wouldn't have known. I mean, we didn't pay attention to things like that.
Don't breathe a word to no one, but I'm going on a trip.
They really didn't have any sensitive information. The only one that ever got pulled was Coming Home, because that had a diagram, and it looked a little bit too much like the Enola Gay bomb for the Army's comfort. So they actually removed that cartoon from circulation.
I think one reason that they went for cartoons instead of like a normal instructional film is because if you've got a bunch of servicemen and they're all kind of nervous, it's all kind of, difficult for them, if they're going off to war, something to actually lighten the tension and get the information across is probably going to be far more well-received and far more memorable than just your standard dry, this is how you put your gun together.
They had to appeal to a whole big demographic of soldiers. They came from all over the place, all different levels of education.
Booby traps.
And a lot of them probably didn't get past the 8th grade. So they had to figure out how can we communicate difficult information, like how to take care of your mess kit and how to keep your weapons clean. If they'd done it like as a lecture, they would have been bored with that.
When World War II started, and Capra started that unit, they were looking for writers and all of the top Hollywood talent, and Ted Geisel fell under that.
Ted Geisel, better known as Dr. Seuss, was Capra's writing partner on those. And you can really hear Geisel's rhyming scheme in some of them, like in Gripes.
Police in the camp, all the trouble that's mine. You get through with this, then they stand you in line.
There's Seuss designs all over the Snafus. Technical Fairy First Class looks like a Dr. Seuss character. So there's his influence all over them.
All the gear looks like came straight out of a doctor's furry rollers to kind of smooth out the tracks. And I think that kind of a mix was very, very healthy and very well respected by the directors.
That was a good testing ground for him to come in and work with the animators. He got to know a lot of them. I believe that's the first time he met Chuck Jones, who he would work with years later on the famous Grinch special.
I wrote to Theodore Geisel years ago and asked him what he thought about the snafus, and he was very dismissive of them. He thought they were not effective as instruction.
Ready? Exercise! Hut, hop, hip, hop, hut, hop.
It was also kind of a testing ground for the various directors, too. You know, once you see a bunch of them, you realize, well, Chuck, who actually created the design of the character, had his way of handling things, which were a little softer.
Well, for instance, Gas, which Chuck directed. Bob Cannon did most of the animation of the gas cloud coming to life. He's almost like a Willie the Giant character. He's kind of a stupid gas cloud.
Pardon me.
But he's also very lethal. And that has that Chuck Jones quality of very loose, very gentle animation, but he's also conveying a powerful message. This gas cloud is something to be respected and avoided.
Clampett, of course, was Clampett. Completely outrageous.
Clampett, as usual, did a lot of semi-naughty gags, like in Fighting Tools when Snafu's gun gets full of mud and it's coming out of the end of the barrel like dysentery. These squishy, horrible sound effects. I'm sure Bob got a big kick out of that gag because he got away with it. And Tashlin, of course, liked a little bit more adult kind of humor,
It's so cold it would freeze the nuts off a Jeep.
They all had their own different ways of handling things based on how they were directing their normal short cartoons at the time. You're seeing all the great Warner's directors at the top of their game and actually getting to cut a little loose. Since they were aiming for a serviceman target rather than a general audience, they allowed themselves to be a little more bawdy in the content of these things, too.
They got as many naked women into them as they could, like in Lecture on Camouflage, where there's a couple of topless mermaids just thrown in.
There was cursing. There's a great scene in Booby Traps where Rod Scribner animated it, and Snafu is talking to the narrator, and he's just going,
I wish the hell you'd shut up. I ain't no boob and I won't be trapped.
It's like, when's the last time you saw Rod Scribner animate I Wish to Hell You Shut Up?
Just between you and me, pal, I hear we're in for a bombing.
They have all the production value as one of the Looney Tunes from that period. Mel Blanc doing voices.
Hey, this is an important job I'm doing.
Carl Stallings' music, all of the bells and whistles that we come to associate with the Looney Tunes, including cameo appearances by Bugs Bunny in some of them.
What's up, Doc?
The important thing, I guess, for us now is that they're still a lot of fun to watch because they have the same virtues that the entertainment cartoons have. And so in that respect, they've outlasted a great many other training films from World War II, most of which are just unwatchable.
The animators at the time were in their 20s, and they were making these films for guys in their teens and 20s. And so this is a really great way to see how people communicated back then and what was on their minds. It's not much different from the way we think today.
Snafu is the world's greatest. 0